This is Marketing of Today. I'm Cesar.
And Liv.
Let's go! Welcome back to another episode of the Marketing of Today. Liv, Olivia, Olive. I don't know why I keep calling you Olive.
Why do you call me Olive?
Because I want to call you Olive. Olivia, who do we have here today?
We have my girl, Hidee. Homegirl Hidee.
That's right.
Follow her on IG. And I brought her today because I just love her vibe. She does so many amazing things in the real estate realm, outside of the real estate realm. But I love her personality and her whole vibe. She's a whole movement. So I brought her here today because I wanted to chop it up with you.
You're amazing. Thank you.
And so, Hidee, you want to go into it or you want me to start? Because I can start.
I'm going to go into it real quick. Hidee, introduce yourself real quick. Let us know who you are. Just so everybody that doesn't know who you are knows.
Okay, so my name is Hidee. I'm a real estate agent who specializes in commercial and cannabis real estate, and residential is always in the background, right? You don't say no to a deal. Okay. So
of course,
that's what we do. That's what I do.
Who was Hidee before this? I'm just so curious because I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, I know a little bit, right? Because we've chopped it up a little bit, but I want to know, like, who was Hidee before this?
So Hidee before this was always in sales. Sales in healthcare, which a lot of people don't consider as sales, but you are always being sold on, right? It was dentistry in the beginning, very high level dentistry and emotional based selling and advanced sales skills. And I feel very lucky to be able to do that and have people trust me with hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of work that they have to pay for that they didn't know that they were going to spend money on. So that's what I used to do. Hidee, other than work, just happy-go-lucky. I have a one child, and he's 9 years old, and I'm a mom and very independent, and I speak my mind, and that's who Hidee is.
So, but my question is beyond that.
Ooh,
like,
okay.
Did I scare you?
No, tell me.
No, so beyond that, so like outside of, so you did the sales before, fantastic, but your schedule, your lifestyle, was it the same structure or did it change drastically when you came to real estate?
No, so real estate lends very easily to me because I am one that actually runs with less structure, right? Like I'm used to, I'm better pressurized, right? Like I'm better when things are crazy and we have to put it together and make it happen.
Yeah.
Not necessarily on purpose. I think a lot of it you learn throughout your life, and it's just your way of dealing with things. I think when you turn 40 and stress, and now your body and things may be different later, it may affect you differently. But Hidee ran like the seat of her pants. Like we figure it out and we get it done. Have I changed much? Yeah, right. So real estate to me was not what it is to me now. It was a roof over your head.
Yeah.
I come from a background of not always having that security, and I didn't think it was a thing until you have a child, right? And now you're supplying that for somebody else. When real estate came into my world and I saw the opportunity and what that could be, I didn't even get interior designing, right? I didn't get any of that because in an apartment, you're not changing much up, right? Like you make it work. This was a whole other ballgame. It gave people a sense of security. It gave them an asset. It gave them for the first time that they felt that they had something. And a lot of people don't feel that towards real estate, right? It's just a transactional thing. So it just lends to me easy. But I think it's because I come from sales.
Okay. So how was the transition? Because I know that you first came into the business, you were on a team, you were kind of navigated. How do you go from being in a kind of controlled environment to working one-on-one in a partnership with somebody else?
So I think the healthcare helped because in an office setting, there's usually one main person, the doctor, the dentist, the whatever, plastic surgeon, whatever type of doctor that they are. So I was used to being in that type of partnership or the type of relationship that there's a star and you have to help someone understand how that star can help you, right?
Right.
So being on a team was kind of easy. I think with the sales background, I outgrew some stuff pretty quickly just because I needed more.
Yeah.
And then that.
But how did you build the relationship to pivot?
honestly, I have lots of good relationships with lots of people, right? And I talk to a lot of people, and I share me, I hope, very authentically all the time. And because of that, the conversations led to, commercial real estate was my world. I just didn't know, right? Healthcare, they look for medical offices and dental offices and buildings. I just wasn't aware that that's what I was doing. So I think it was more just because I felt like I needed more. So I went to look for it and started talking to different people. And
then you built that relationship. Because I see here, you came into the industry, I think, what year was it? 2021?
Yeah. 2021,
you came into the industry, and I see how you, bypassed so many people. That was really, impressionable. And I think as a residential, done a little bit of commercial, but residential generally agent, to see you break into the commercial, they don't teach you this in real estate school.
Right.
So to go and to learn the industry has to take a whole other animal. And so how did you end up learning about commercial real estate?
So I think because the broker at the time bought a residential franchise, that was a key thing. I learned quickly, yes, I know sales, and my hesitation, I think I probably, if I was more confident, could have gone faster. I just wanted to feel like I deserved it. You know what I mean? So he bought a residential franchise. It wasn't what he thought it was. And in commercial, you don't really look at it that way, because real estate is, like you said, real estate is real estate, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's just a transaction. But when you have residential agents who are in need of things and you're a commercial guy, it's really, really difficult to provide. So I tried to help, because that's what I did, right? I helped the superstar of an office and the team all work together. So that's just what I always did. And then slowly, because I was doing that, I was surrounded by the commercial people.
Right.
And the words are easier to understand after a year of listening to it. Right. You know what I mean? And I think that a lot of the training for commercial is very commercially based. Yeah. So they're saying words, but 90% of these residential agents are just nodding because they don't know what it is. And they don't want to be the one to ask the question.
To ask the question.
So because I am so, I went so quick, so fast, I feel like I'm very close to the residential agents. And I believe sharing commercial knowledge will help more deals happen.
Yeah.
But then I have to also talk it through with them in a way that they understand. So all of that kind of helped me push through.
I think it's amazing because people don't understand that there's such a limited amount of realtors that do commercial.
Yeah. It's a very hush world.
A lot of people say right now, we are in a shortage of inventory. Yes, that's true. But if you looked at it from the perspective of commercial, you have this little bit of realtors, and then you have so much commercial out there that maybe
so much.
Sometimes, and I was just speaking about it the other day, I think sometimes people should consider the pivot.
Absolutely.
Consider the pivot, get out there and talk to people, because yes, we have the sales and residential, but why not do a little bit of commercial? Because there's so much of it.
I think for a couple of reasons they don't, right? One, who do you ask questions to, right? Like, as a residential agent, do you go to your broker normally to ask a question, or do you find someone else that you're friendly with to help you? So imagine then having to go to a commercial broker to ask questions. So if the door isn't open, who are you going to go to?
Not only that, most brokerages don't have a commercial division.
Absolutely. So what we're trying to create right now is it backwards. A commercial broker teaching residential agents commercial.
That's genius.
So that's what
you're working on right now. Yeah. Of course she is. All right. That's amazing. So moving on, a lot of people know you as a realtor in the cannabis industry. You have a podcast in that. I've hosted an event with you, which was amazing. We went on
people still talk about it.
Yeah, I know. I get people telling me all the time, "Hey, when are you guys gonna do that hike again? The 420 hike for people who are entrepreneurs, because we need a break." How do you deal with stress and work-life balance?
There is no work-life balance in my life. I am striving for that now, right? Like, what that looks like, it takes a recognition of what your body needs and self-love to put time aside for that. But when you're going and have a kid, right, and entrepreneur, and then 3 levels of that entrepreneurship, right, there's no time. And as moms, the quiet time is probably also busy for you too, because you're catching up on stuff. So I don't, unfortunately, prioritize. To me, it's work, and I fill in the gaps around that.
So how do you then filter out who deserves your energy?
Whew, yeah, that that's tough, right? Like it's not a lot, and I think that a lot of the relationships too that I had recently, I'm lucky for them, but they're centered for around work. I probably wouldn't even have gotten to grow those relationships if it wasn't because of work. But that's also like mom life, right? To a point. Like there's your stuff that you have to do, and it's hard to get to see your friends sometimes. And so I wish, other than my kid, right? Like that's who I know needs my attention, and that's even difficult because you have to do stuff, and they're babies and they're in a playful world, and you're worried about papers, like we were talking about,
papers.
Right?
Yeah, so
papers
guys,
on papers.
We've been trying to schedule a date, and then we get hit with papers, and we meet. Like I feel like we really want to go out
because we feel bad.
Yeah, like we want to go out. We want to we even want to just get pretty and go out.
But feel bad too because it's like at the very last moment, it's something or the way the day ended up, and it's like, girl, I get it, right? Like there's no hard feelings because that's what our life is.
And we just ran ourselves into E.
Done. Yeah,
it's crazy. But again, like how do you filter out certain people? Because I mean, everybody needs from Hidee. Everybody needs from Liv, and I think it's hard to set certain boundaries. So how do you know who to filter out?
I am, again, lucky because I have a broker who is also my mentor. He's big on discipline and meditation and growth, spiritually, looking for more answers. And that reminder in your face every freaking day about just trying to be better. He believes if you're a better person inside and calm inside, the real estate deals will not throw you, sway you, whether it be good or bad. And controlling your emotions, right, controls everything else. But I'm an emotional person, so I do need that constant reminder. Feel the room, feel yourself, feel everything, and so it's that reminder. And even though he's so far along, he still needs the reminder. And that's the open door. Hell yeah, that's huge. It's huge. And I feel again lucky because if you don't have that type of person, you feel very, very lost, lost. So
I think that's an important thing to see who's actually pouring into our lives.
Yeah, definitely.
And in which capacity they're pouring into our lives, and are we being depleted, or do we feel heavy around certain energies? I can't have conversations with certain people. I know which days not to call certain people.
Well, that's also takes a lot of self-reflection, self-awareness, and I think a lot of us don't do that, right?
Yeah.
Go because you're trying not to pay attention, or drink because you're trying not to pay attention.
Yeah.
And it's tough, man. And I'm living it. I'm literally living it because, either I die from a stroke because the stress is intense, or I do something about it. Yeah. So I'm working on that. It's a goal.
Is there anybody that you feel in particular that you're lacking to pour love into and attention?
As a mom, you're always going to say your kids, right? Because you could always do more, or take this vacation or do something. So that's always going to be there. Honestly, it's going to be Hidee because I'm go, and everyone needs it. So I have to introspectively look at some stuff, and allocate time for myself because it's a lot. But no, I try to give and I try to show love to everybody that I love, whether, friendship or whatever, even coworkers, right? Like if you're helping me and you don't have to help me because everyone's so me.
Yeah. Self-involved.
I feel like that's awesome. And thank you because you care for me in some capacity.
Yeah. And I think it's important to for me, I'm very intuition based, and sometimes I see certain things and I'm like, man, that person needs a little something.
Yeah.
They need a little
You
of
are
me
very
right
good
now.
at that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just the wanting love or just giving energy, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what it is sometimes. Someone just needs the
But
conversation.
I think that's just being a part of being an intuitive person.
Absolutely.
And not a lot of people are. And so it's amazing when you meet people who are on the same page as you and you can connect. You're like, yeah, you know, you don't even have to talk about it. You're like, yeah, you picked up on that. Yeah, me too.
So you asked me like the differences, right? In the healthcare world, you're stuck in a box all day. So the people come to me, and being outside, all these people that are more like me can see me. So I have access to them too. And I think that's really, really cool that you do. You know, I posted it yesterday. You do attract your vibe, right? Like
you do.
The energy you give out is what you're going to get back.
But at the same token, you do attract other stuff,
right?
That wants to act like it's your vibe.
Yeah. So
how do you deal with that?
And use. I think my age helps, right? Like I've been able to kind of see where it's going. Like I've done this before. This feels like this before.
Familiar.
Right. So even if I'm not so much, I'm still learning about how I feel at the present moment. When stuff looks like a pattern, I'm quick to like, no, we're cutting this out, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think that also, the older you get, it's harder to, you know, the 20-year-old, you don't want to spend so much time on that person because they're young and they're naive and they'll figure it out. But I think sometimes it's even more necessary, right? And that goes back to how much love you're pouring into who and what and when. Yeah. But people do try to abuse if you're good-hearted and want to help person.
Heart.
Yeah, especially in this industry.
Yeah, for sure. How do you balance like a relationship in this industry?
I don't know. This is really tough in this industry, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's always question marks on both sides.
Yeah.
Sales in general is not an easy field to be in for relationships. Even more so because, you know, real estate, you're marketing yourself in whatever capacity you want, and the significant other may not like that, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's balancing that. Again, it's not balanced.
Yeah.
But you're working towards progression.
I completely get that because I had a relationship. I was in a relationship when I first got into real estate, and so a marriage or whatever. And I felt, and I think I've spoke about it on the show, where I went from being the support system for that person and that person being the star because I believe it, you know, some people have their moments. Sometimes you have to support your partner when they're doing things and you'll live in the shadow and just be a great support system. And then sometimes you have to be, you're the one in the spotlight and the other person is supposed to support you. It's just the way life is, right? It's partnership. So I feel like that in a capacity really messed with my partner when he saw that I was taking off in real estate and I was starting to get, you know, just what we call clout. And in that realm, and I can imagine it was very bothersome. And I had a few people point out, like, I don't think that he very much appreciates with the direction that you're going in. Even though I was keeping a business, I dressed like an old lady at the time. When I first came into the industry, you would not see me with like tight clothes or nothing. Like I dressed as loose because I said I want people to respect me for my brain and see my grit and my hard work and just my determination to just make it. But even so, even with all that being said, I felt like he didn't appreciate that or support me. I mean, the relationship didn't work out, not because of that, but based on other things. But that I understand where you're coming from, where it gets a little tricky, where you're dealing with loving the person and also having to deal with them struggling, seeing you out there working
yourself, right?
It's so hard.
Getting attention, especially for men, for women, right? Like any sort of attention is not going to necessarily make the partner feel any type of better about anything. And that's what it is, making a business and putting yourself out there. But the trust factor has to definitely be there.
It has to be. And I think it also stems from like people not knowing how to support a partner coming into the industry, not knowing how to properly love somebody.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think, yes, there's a lot of inner work to be done coming into this industry because, yes, it is, male dominant, and there's a lot of interaction and sales and different events. It's not like you're 9 to 5 in your home. Like, you can be 12 o'clock at night outside in a meeting on a Friday night.
Yep.
And you just have to be able to have that trust, so I get it.
Communication, trust, respect. There's so many, right? And
There's
that's
so
it.
much.
We don't communicate either, so that doesn't help, right? So you just kind of let it fester, and things blow up. Which, right? I like to talk. I feel like it should be a safe space. It should be. You should be able to communicate. That's what partnerships are. But you stop talking, and then resent comes in, and then contempt, and then that's it. See ya, right? Like.
So, do you think it's easier to date somebody in your industry, or is it better to have somebody outside of your industry?
Again, right, it goes down to trust. So if the realtors, I'm not necessarily all trusting all the time because of the way they be acting, that's going to be a hard one, right, to date in the industry, because like that question mark's always there, right? Because they act a fool sometimes, and I guess if you do really trust the partner, it could always work out. But communicate and trust, I guess. I don't know if I would, right? Like I never really considered it, to tell the truth. Yeah.
So you're saying that? No, but what I'm saying is I'm single.
Okay.
Do you think for me?
Yes, because
do you think for me, would it be easier to date somebody in my industry, or would you suggest for me to date outside of my industry?
No, I think you're very outgoing. I think you communicate well, and I think that you know what you're looking for, right? So being with someone in the industry, you could share that and blow up together, right? Like just take off, but you have to set those parameters, right? It's almost like like a sales process. You have to know what to expect, but people don't think of it in a process that way. They're just in love, and this feels so great, but there's always going to be a rub eventually, right? Whether it's a living situation, whether it's, financial, whatever the hell it is. How do you work through that? And being okay with working through that. It's tough.
I think, if you would ask me last year, I would have been like, oh, I definitely need to date somebody in the industry. But as I evolve, I think that most importantly for me is somebody who is knowledgeable of the real estate process, of the industry, and has the flexibility to support me and travel with me and have that dialogue. I think that's more important for me, because I've tried dating people who can't even have a real estate dialogue, and that does not work.
That's hard.
That doesn't work for me. Actually, I saw a realtor, the one that we had on the guest show last week. He posted on social media. He was like, I went on a date with a girl, and I was talking about real estate, and she told me that I talk too much about real estate. And he was just like, okay, next, check please. But I get it. Like
how do you not? Everything involves real estate, technically.
Like, what do you mean you want to talk real estate?
But you know what? I find the opposite. I wasn't aware how many people wanted to talk real estate, right?
Yeah.
Because that wasn't what I was into. So I just wasn't in those conversations.
Yeah.
My girlfriend's an interior designer.
Yeah.
And I was like, how do you feel about having an assistant for a little while? I just wanted to see her world.
Yeah.
I never looked at it like that. And, but yeah, you're right? Maybe someone in the specialties of the industry, but not necessarily an agent or
in
a
the
broker.
nitty gritty of what we have to do. Because when you have like these conversations, you don't want to be feeling like the superior, the one educating. Like, I just want you to know. Like, can you just please know so that we can have a real like adult dialogue where I don't have to teach you like, hey, you can't just take a bunch of money, cash, and dump it in your bank account and help me out to buy a property. Like, it doesn't work like that. I can't build you. It's not happening. I'm not ready to build anybody,
Yeah, but you are you educate others, right?
Yes.
And
I have no
do.
problem educating others. Just my spouse.
There's a level, right?
There, you have to know a little more. You have to be able to have at least know what your interest rate is. If you have a house. And I hope that you have a house at least, or two. But, have just the basic knowledge, the drive, have your shit together. I think that's very important so that we can be able to be, have a good partnership. I think that's super important. So Cesar, how about you? When you came into this business, how did you fall into real estate?
So I was doing content blogging online, content for social media for myself personally, personal brand. And then out of nowhere, I started meeting a couple, with Dominic.
Okay.
So Dominic, through social media was, hey, I need your services and I want you to do my videos. I said, okay. I was doing camp videos for myself. I was never expecting to do it for somebody else. And then COVID happened. So when COVID happened, I had the opportunity to actually dive into the business and learn it. So I was doing some research myself prior to it. But I started picking up on how to flip houses, how the interest rate works, how much you need a down payment, how you calculate that, what is an FHA, what is this? Yeah. So then I was like, okay, cool. Now that I have knowledge base, I can work with people in the industry, and it's easier to communicate because I know what you're trying to what's the message that you're trying to provide to people. Yeah. So that helped a lot.
So Hidee, I'm just curious as to what's some of the pains that you have in this industry?
Right now, my pains are I'm one person, right? And I'm trying to create 3 different businesses at the same time. And it's not normal.
Yeah.
And this quickly.
We aren't normal.
Word. That's a definite.
Yeah.
But that's a big one, right? So if ADD or that type of, it's a realtor, right? Because you're jumping from this. If that's a normal thing, well, then what's the key issue, right? The organization and processes and systems and things that you need for a business to strive.
So what are the 3 things that you're focusing on right now?
So the cannabis, unfortunately, took a world of its own because there's not a lot of qualified cannabis anything, right? So people are learning as they go right now. So that's number 1. We also, the brokerage in relation to the residential and commercial and having a space for that, but also you said something about being educated and having a partner that would know.
Yeah.
Like part of what I believe a brokerage should be is giving back to people and service and being of service and helping. So financial literacy for children, for young adults, for the things that they don't teach you about in school.
Okay.
Having a place, again, we talked about self-development and meditation, things that people don't.
So like a hub, a whole hub.
You got it. Yeah, like a hub. It's a brokerage, but one with an open door instead of feeling like you can't ask a question.
Well, the cool thing about it is that you're essentially focusing in your business, and the message is the same. It's just now how to market to all those people. How are you marketing yourself?
And at the same time,
nurture.
Yeah,
there's nurturing involved. She's speaking about a hub. She's talking about giving all these classes, these resources, these things that are going to keep you, because people don't think about meditation. You know how important it is to meditate? Yeah. I try to meditate every morning, pray before I get up, and if I don't do that, my day is pretty much like, I don't even know. It's predictable. It's not even predictable how it's going to go, because I'm not centered. So that's an important part. I feel like that we have to remember to center ourselves so that we can be able to take on everybody else's problems.
And most people don't want to even, they don't even know how to start or try.
Yeah.
And if it's in your face, well, maybe I can try. Or if this person did an ice plunge outside, maybe I want to try, right? Like an ice plunge. It's again, we lost community, we lost relationships during COVID, and I think if we can create that space again with like-minded individuals, I think it could explode. So even this last year, it was a tough year for everybody. In the real estate realm. Yeah. And we lost so many agents. Imagine having that resource and that. So I'm very curious and excited to see what you're working on. In that space. That sounds very exciting. Thank you. The marketing you were asking?
Yes, the marketing. How are you focusing on that side and pushing yourself forward?
So some of the stuff I talk about is not normal real estate stuff. So I think that because it's not normal real estate, that puts me in front of people real quick, right? Again, and
so it's like you're breaking the rules
everywhere.
The social
rules. Absolutely. And I think I can only do that because I can talk with the guys in the street, and I think I can talk with the guys with the money because I'm used to that, right? Like I can merge
both the environments.
And also a lot of people, if we're talking cannabis, right? Like a lot more people smoke weed than people think. I think now people are starting to talk about it more.
Yes,
the lines.
That's so true, because when I go to the dispensary,
I've been
sometimes I'm like, oh, he looks like my neighbor. He's a whole grandpa.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I've been surprised, I'm in the real estate world, and how many people in real estate do it, like just to calm down at night.
Yeah.
But it's,
And they don't talk about it. It's a
want
group.
to.
It's tight.
And it's crazy to
It's
me.
therapeutic.
Yeah.
It's better than alcohol. Like,
right,
what
it's that glass of wine. It's just
Yeah.
something to make the stop thinking, right? Because it's a lot of stuff happening all the time.
Yeah.
So that's one, right? Marketing just in hashtags, and again, there's not a lot of people who are posting that. So that's
Yeah.
one.
You let yourself be out there.
I try to be authentic, right? And it's what I'm doing. So
but it puts you in a very vulnerable position when you're being authentic, right?
Yeah.
So I know anything you want to share of any circumstance,
Any experience
story?
that you might have gone through because of that?
Recently, right? The one that we were talking about prior was that a key. It wasn't just the commercial broker who's older and a woman that you think is going to treat you different. At the end of the day, right, there's egos and jealousy and people watching that I didn't even know were watching, right?
Yeah.
So, there's tons of stories like that. Yes, I'm in a vulnerable place, but that's who I am. And I think that the vulnerability, you can see who I am and you trust that, right?
Yeah.
And I need you to trust me if I'm going to help you.
Yeah.
So
I think it's actually, people should definitely appreciate how transparent you are, because I think you portray yourself very transparent, and I know you on a personal level, so it's like she's being herself. But it does put you in a very scary position, that a lot of people who would love to have the bravery that you have don't take that step to be themselves, to really put on and say, you know what, like, and bring opportunity. So they're holding themselves back because they're not displaying their true self. And I commend you for like being brave and like standing up for things that kind of break the rules, right, quote unquote, in our I guess in our industry. I think it's becoming more socially acceptable, but it hasn't across the board been like, it's a normal thing. Like, no, we're slowly progressing there, but it's amazing to me because you're helping. People don't see the full spectrum. You're bringing the streets to the people with the money and the knowledge, and you're taking them off the streets and marrying them into a situation where they're changing their generation, their narrative.
So that's the goal, right? And that I wish was the story of what's happening, right? The people who were locked up for this and got in trouble for weed or whatever were just supposed to be given an opportunity so that they can be legal and gain some money because of that.
It's called social equity, guys.
Yes, social equity.
She told me that.
And that, social equity people, you don't come from a lot of money. There's a reason why you were selling in the corner, right? There's a reason why you got in trouble with that stuff. There's a reason. And then you need the money now. And no one prepared that conversation to happen.
Right.
I think it's cool that I can talk to both, and they get me, right? Like one understands me, the other understands me, and then I can make them kind of understand each other. But if a business is very difficult to take off from the start, now imagine conjoining a partnership with two people who don't know each other. So it's even harder.
And that come from different worlds,
right?
Because it's completely like that person world and the money world is very different.
Very different.
Yeah, and like I was telling you before, like I know you had your situation where you have the people throwing the shade and the hate, and I always believe, especially like in the industry, we should be protecting each other. We should have each other's backs. We should be protecting each other's image, and we don't do that enough. We find it. I mean, I won't say for myself because I am the first one to protect somebody's back that I don't even know. If I know you, I am protecting your back. I cannot like you, and I'm still going to protect your back because that's just the type of person I am. So to see people going out of their way and think that there's some form of competition really bothers me because there's enough for everybody to eat.
Absolutely. There is definitely enough, right? Like, and I know that about you, right? You shirt off your back type of person. Like, if I could help you, why not?
Yeah.
But it's also then having to say it and prove it, because it's not like that. There's a reason why realtors have not a great name, right? Like it's because most people don't give a shit. It's very hard to find people that feel and would honestly do that for someone else, right? Like
that's so unfortunate, because we are in a relationship based business. Like I tell you, one of the most key pieces to my business and doing the sales that I'm doing right now is because I've built relationships. Right. I've taken the time to build relationships. And if I see, for example, you have a house or a building that my client needs, I'm calling you and you're helping me move my way up. What is it going to take to get my deal done? Right. And this is the problem, that we're very competition based, or people are very competition based, in not seeing where it can be a beautiful situation for everybody. It's looks versus looks, it's deals versus deals, sales versus sales, and it's just
yucky.
Brokerage, even brokerage versus brokerage.
Yeah. And that's why I think the concept we're trying to create is crazy. The brokerage as an open arms type of place is completely different than what you get, even though that's what they're selling you, right? That's not what you get. So yeah, I get that, and it's just hard to find other people like that. All
right, so Cesar, should we go into the trivia part?
Yep, let's do it. Let's definitely do it.
Question for you: what was the question that our last guest left last episode?
We gotta do better on this, guys. We apologize and we're sorry, but we gotta write it down.
Yeah,
we keep forgetting. We leave it on the video. We don't look for it.
Yeah, so we've been having the last guest leave a question for the following guest. Okay. I don't recall what the last question was.
So you got saved on this one.
Okay. Yes.
Cool. So do the trivia real quick.
Okay.
All right. So trivia question. Okay. If you can change one thing about your life, what would it be?
Actually, right now, I have to say nothing. If I believe what is about to be created, I had to be in this path. So right now, I'm going to say I'm shocked that I'm saying this, because you always feel like you want more, but I think I'm where I'm supposed to be.
That's amazing. All right, Cesar, how about you? What's one thing you would change about your life?
For me, I think it would be learning sooner. Right? Because we grow and we learn every day, but the things that we know today, I wish I knew when I was 20, when I didn't have a lot of responsibilities and I could build from my couch in that house, right? That part I feel like I will change it. It's to learn sooner than I know now. A lot of the things that I know today.
Okay, that's amazing.
What about you?
Oof, for me, I would say, not started out my life as fast as I did, and focused on myself.
So essentially the same thing I said.
I would know, like, I grew up very differently. Like, I grew up in a Christian household, and I was kind of,
the morals were like, you had to have a family.
Yeah, I don't want to get into specifics, but the principles of our home was,
this is how it goes.
You learn home ec. And you are here to support a man, and you're to get married, and you are to wait until marriage. And I was married at 18.
Wow.
Fulfilling those things, and I was just a child that knew nothing about the world.
But I'm going to go a little deeper for you, right? My family is very Christian in that sense, but my mom has always said you need to live your life in order for you to know what you want. Right. So it's interesting how...
But you're also a boy.
True. Oh, very big.
Very big in our culture, right? Huge.
Yeah. And also,
my mom actually, I don't know if I told you this, but I got married with my wife when she was 18. And my mom was like, she's too young.
Yeah.
She said she's too young, but
why you guys? Your mom was recognize that, right? Like, because most of the time it's just, but I think, right, like another.
Oh no, that's the thing my mom has taught me and my brother. She's fair.
Boys too, that's good,
right? Yeah, we were two boys just for her. And my dad has a boy too outside of that before he got married. So it's like, it's crazy because my mom also thinks about the other person. So that's why we learn about kindness. So that you said, right, I can see, it's been so interesting to me because throughout my journey I have met people like you and other people that parents actually are the opposite about certain
Yeah.
things. So it's like they're Christian, yes. We all have the same religion because we're Latinos, right? Our religion is basically the same, but our morals sometimes are so different because they were like, oh, your grandma got married when she was 14, so you gotta get married when you're 18.
Right. But mine was a little more. Mine was a little more intense because I grew up in a old school Pentecostal family where my dad was a pastor.
Oh wow!
So I was deep. Like this under the scope. And I remember being 17, and I love my dad. I understand the pressure he was at the time, and I love him to death. But I was 17, and I remember being my second semester in college. I get emotional. Being my second semester in college, being a good kid, working, and getting beat up for doing my eyebrows. I was a virgin. I was in college. I was doing my thing. I was just a good kid. And I remember getting beat up for doing my eyebrows. And I just wanted to feel pretty. Like, I was going to school with all these college girls wilding out. And I just wanted my eyebrows done. Right. I wanted to see lip gloss.
If you put a comparison between the girls in college and what you wanted to do, it was just a minor thing.
Mind you, I was in church Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, some Saturdays, and twice on Sundays. I was not, this is what it was.
Yeah.
And I think about all the time, and you know, they say, you know, there's a reason for everything, and I accept my journey, but I feel like if my parents at the time were the way they are, the way they were with my siblings, because I was like kind of like the learning experience. After me, they knew what not to do, and that's okay. Like, I am glad that my siblings did not have to go through the struggles that I went through, and I'm okay with being the example of what to do and what not to do. But God, if I could have saved myself some heartache, because if I go down telling that story of my life, it gets deep, and
you should, right?
and it's kind of sad that I was pushed to be an adult very, very early.
Hell yeah,
with
sad.
No knowledge of what to do.
But how, you know, thinking if there's others like you, right? Because that's what people are telling me now, right? Share the story, where especially girls, because there's not a lot of empowerment. They say the words, but it's hard to put yourself in those shoes sometimes. And your story could help someone else.
I'm a little deep here. What is empowerment to you? Because I feel, let me give you some backstory. I feel like the definition has gotten blurred.
Hell yeah.
To different
now. Absolutely.
So what is empowering to women like you at this point?
I think for me, like, if I can talk to my younger self, it would have been like, have a mind of your own, make your own decisions, and don't feel like you're forced to make any decision. Because while we love our parents, their generation and their way of thinking is outgrown. We live in a different world. It's not the same world when they were our age, right? So I would have empowered myself to not make certain decisions based on my pain.
Yeah, that were guidance by them, but it's you also, and this is a question you want to add to, if you want to add to that, would it be also like, but still maintain the respect that they deserve?
Absolutely, have maintained
because right now there's no respect.
But I made poor choices based on my hurt at the time. So my poor choices were to do XYZ to leave my house.
Yeah, because
I just wanted the simple things.
It's an out, right? Yeah, like, that's what it was. You don't leave or run like right away if you felt that it was a good place to be.
Yeah. And it didn't feel like a good place to be. So I went off into the world very early when I didn't have to go, which perpetuated a whirlwind of experiences that I could have saved myself from had I not been in that position.
That makes sense.
So if I can go erase that facet of my life, that little cusp 17, 18,
she's waiting for her answer.
No, I almost don't want to say, right? Because it's the complete opposite of you guys.
Yeah.
No, but that's what we're open to.
Okay. Like, again, it's and I feel you inside, right? And I think that's why I just get you and why we vibe so quickly. Like, my heart is pounding because I get that feeling going back, and like, how do you help that little person, right? That all these little people, that they need that somebody, and you think that the house and the money and the whatever, all they want is time and attention and to be seen. And most of us, especially in this country, don't get that. So I was a Catholic school kid to a Jewish converted Cuban mom.
Oh wow!
Wow.
Yeah, like she had Star of David.
That's a tongue twister right there.
Picked me up at the school, right? So that was interesting. But I also found out much later, but I always knew, right? Adopted. Was told from one country, was from a different country. So I repped Cuba for a really long time.
I see what you're,
Yeah. So everything was a lie. And my authenticity, my who I am is because of that, right? So if for 15, 16, 17 years, whatever it was, that I had information that wasn't true.
Yeah.
Right?
It gets tough.
Yeah, you have to, I believed if I was 100% myself, because I really didn't have that, right? And the person who adopted me was in her 50s when she adopted me.
Wow.
So when I was 12, she was 62, alcoholic. So the drinking thing that we were talking about earlier is very key, because I don't normally go to the liquor store because that was never my go-to, right? Like, I smoke every single day, right? For 25 years, whatever it is. But alcohol has that connotation.
It's a
trigger for
but
you.
in real estate, of course I'm gonna drink and hang out and have fun, or go to dinner and have a drink. It's not like that.
It's when you go home.
Consistency, right?
Yeah.
Or when you go home and go to the liquor store, just like
it has a connection,
right? Right. And it's so uncommon for me. So that's one of the things. But at the same time, she was so old that it was, how do you even relate to a grandmother, essentially, right?
Yeah. So there wasn't that relationship.
No. I didn't even, I used to think I was an alien because I didn't feel at home.
Yeah.
But the only thing that made sense was extraterrestrial, not a whole other country, because I'm not thinking country as a child, right? Like, this has to be my mom. That's what they're telling me. That will fuck you up, right? And becoming an adult at 12 or 13, and it was much younger than that, right? Because the alcohol and whatever the hell, a lot of kids didn't get that, right? And I have a 9-year-old who still believes in Santa, right? And I feel so lucky that he still believes in Santa.
And so you want to protect his innocence so
bad.
But
I also don't, right? Because I feel like the other day, the tub was running.
That made you who you were, right?
Right, but I suffered. I don't want him to suffer, right?
Yeah.
So it's a tricky balance of maintaining that, because
it's the same thing as living in the hood, not living in the hood.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of people that look like us, but I also don't want them to live the life of the hood, even though I got values out of being in the streets, but I don't want another 12-year-old in the street.
Yeah.
Like,
it
like
does.
That,
I do feel like I think I was pretty privileged for the most part growing up, but then I had this other aspect that wasn't so beneficial to my
and
to so many things.
Of girls that I know like you, like either they ran away or they did the complete other spec because they never got to even a little bit experience life. So they go crazy too.
But that's the problem though. When they hit a certain point in their life, they can really mess up a good thing, because now they're outside and they're in the 30s and they're throwing away a whole marriage and a household and
it's the mental health aspect, right? Which is why it's such a big thing in the real estate world, because the drinking and the smoking and the partying and the ego trips and the nastiness, it's all coming from inside, right? It's not coming from other shit. So if you could be okay inside, maybe you are willing to help more people or be better to others.
And I think that's why I am so transparent now, because growing up I couldn't be so transparent. And anytime I even had a bad thought, I remember I was just like praying, like, God forgive me, like like it was I was so hard on myself, which I now know that like God is a God of grace. And I have to give myself grace. And so there's a lot of unlearning and relearning, right? And I think that's why I am so transparent, and I don't care. Like, people are like, hey, you shouldn't do that. No, I really don't care what people think about so much, because when I was younger, it was very much on what other people thought about me and how I looked up on the outside.
Right?
And nobody really cared about the shit that was going on inside. And so now I am so against all of that, you know, and I try to instill that into my kids, like, speak your mind, be who you are. We aren't perfect,
right? Like,
still remember that God is very important in your life and have that balance, but just not in the way that I grew up. It's very different. Give yourself grace to make mistakes and just be a better person.
That's all.
And that's it. Like, it was tough. So if I can change that area of my life, and I know a lot of people are like, oh no, it molded you. Yeah, but it brought on
right? Like, you're such an amazing, open-hearted person, girl. Yeah, it was definitely painful, and I know because it's painful, you don't want it on anybody, but
definitely not.
You, like, again, you shine, and I love that about you. You attract, and it's because of the open heart, right? Like, and that's how it's
important to remember. Thank you. Is this a therapy session?
Almost.
That's what happens.
Should we hold hands now?
All the feelings, it comes out, like.
No, but it's real shit. Like, it's real. Like, I guess eventually we can Cesar, you and I need a dialogue. Obviously, there's more to unpack. I think we have some similarities, but it's real shit that a lot of people see me on the Instagram. They think I had this glamorous life growing up, and while I had privileges at certain points in my life and things like that, but like. This chick took some work to make.
Hell yeah.
Like,
it's also
I was built from the fire, like for real.
You're unlearning, relearning, and you have to keep reminding yourself.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, it's constant daily work.
It's life's journey.
Well, just to close it off, I feel like it's also the toughest part is in this world we can't be still. Like, we can't be parado, right?
Yeah.
Constantly in movement, we're constantly rebuilding, we're constantly being better. So this experiences are ways for us to see what we didn't like and how we can make it better. Nobody's perfect, like you said. One of the things that I want to teach my son is respect. I feel like we lost that. A lot of people don't respect elderly people. They don't respect, like, their uncles,
So I started saying I would get smacked in the face for that, right? So let's recognize it, and I'm doing better by not smacking you, but let's learn, right? Because that's how I was taught.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that I'm not smacking you, but I'm telling you that you're doing it wrong.
And because they've never been smacked, because I don't think old enough yet, like, what to do that bad, because I will if it's that bad. But like, you. Oh shit, the eyeball. They're like, oh my God, because it's even the idea. Like, why would you hit me? And then that is also like, fuck why did they hit us, right? Because in our culture, it's for everything. There was not even a consideration.
The scariest part is when you feel triggered or you see yourself acting like your parents. Oh my God. I'm like, whoa. It's like I get PTSD.
Same.
I'm like, no, we're not going
at the
down
same
this
time,
road.
something that came to me a long time ago is my mom, within my life, right? I was the one who got smacked. My brother didn't get smacked. We got 8 years of difference. And my mom was like, well, we learn from you. I'm like, how funny it is that I'm the one that you learn from, right? But I still believe, it's the knowledge at the time, right? There was no better knowledge. Right. They didn't know.
They got hit.
And then today, I feel like you need a hybrid version of that.
Absolutely.
Where it's like, what consists a good smacking, right? That terminology.
Right, well, that was kind of what I meant before with the water being on. I told him turn off the water in the tub, and his brain didn't go turn it the other way. He freaked out, and I think that's bad and good, right? Because they are innocent and they are sheltered.
Exactly.
But that's also the common sense part of that, and it's a very tricky
balance.
Just like the street smarts.
Like, just see what happens. But it's not that. Like we were, right?
It's not second nature, right? Because they weren't.
You had to figure it out. You didn't have someone to do it for you.
Exactly. And so that's the part, right? Because we also got to think about their future, and when they are in the world, they have to be able to. I said I don't want a smart kid. I don't want the most genius son in the world. I just want a kid that can balance and play in all waters. Why? Because I'm not rich. So since I'm not rich, he's not gonna be all set off, and then he can figure out. No, you need to learn how to set yourself up.
Scholarship, and then we could talk. Right? Like, get what you need to get.
Dale, but you gotta build. I'm building something, but you gotta build better.
Right.
Guys,
I actually believe that we have to build a foundation for our kids.
Hell yeah.
But we also, at the same time, while we're building a foundation for them to thrive, we have to show them the hard work that's necessary, that we've put up and done the hard work. Like, we have to show them that work ethic.
Yeah, absolutely.
so that they can appreciate what they have and be able to sustain as well.
That's
Thank you so much for being on the podcast, everyone. Bye bye.